Is this on? Oh. All right. Welcome to Sac City Unified. We will first start with roll call. I will start roll call. Member Jean.
Here.
Member Kayada.
Here.
Member Rhodes.
Present.
Member Zing. Here. We have quorum. That's wonderful. Do we have any public comment?
There's none.
Perfect. We will be going to closed session. Thank you. Hello, hello. All right, folks, welcome to our Sacramento City Unified School District Board meeting. Thank you. All right, we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Everyone, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let's go to 4.2, broadcast statement.
This meeting of the Sacramento City School Board is being recorded and will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on Comcast, Consolidated Communications, and AT&T Uverse. Today's meeting will be aired Saturday, April 20th at 1 p.m. and Monday, April 22nd at 12 p.m. It is also webcast at metro14live.saccounty.net and can be viewed on the Metro Cable 14's YouTube channel. We welcome members of the audience to address the board. Please complete a speaker form, which are located in the back of the room, and give them to our communications representative, along with any handouts you may have for the board prior to the conclusion of the item's presentation. Please speak into the microphone when addressing the board and state your name for the record. Please limit comments during public comment to items that are not on the agenda. If you do comment on an item that is listed on the agenda, we will ask that you please defer your comments until your item comes up on the agenda. Please also either turn off your cell phones or place them on silent mode.
All right, thank you so much. Moving on to 4.3, Stellar Student, introduced by Board Member Pritchett.
Thank you. Tonight, I have the pleasure of introducing you to Vivian Totti. Vivian, would you like to come up to the podium? Vivian Totti is in Einstein's GATE program and has a cumulative GPA of 3.96 between 7th and 8th grade. She is in advanced band and plays the violin. She plays the clarinet at home and is teaching herself to play the piano. Vivian is very involved in the American Indian community. She is involved in SUSD's American Indian Education Program and is also a member of the Native Youth of Sacramento Youth Group. Another accomplishment is her art. She paints and won first place for the youth category at the Gallup Intertribal Indian Ceremonial. She also sews and sells ribbon skirts and beaded earrings. Vivian was able to fund a good part of her Albert Einstein Middle School DC New York City trip by selling these items. She is very involved at school. In addition to being our GATE and advanced program and maintaining straight A's, Vivian plays on the track and field team for Albert Einstein. She is on Einstein's Mathletes team, and she helps Einstein's team recently win first place in the last Mathletes competition. And she recently went on our Washington, D.C., New York field trip. Vivian's teacher says, Ms. Totti is an excellent role model for her classmates. She keeps her teammates on task and focused and shows true leadership capabilities, polite and respectful. Vivian is mature beyond her years. Vivian has excellent attendance and willingness to push through difficult assignments, which leads me to know that Vivian will be at the top of her class as she progresses through her high school years. And please give a round of applause for Vivian. Amazing. Would you like to say a few words? Oh, I'm sorry.
I just want to thank the school board for honoring me tonight. I want to thank my principal, Mr. Tafoya, and my teachers for helping me with this. I want to thank my family and friends for supporting me. Yeah.
Amazing work. We're going to come down. We have a certificate for you, and we're going to come down and take a photo with you. All right. All right. All right. Thanks.
Yeah, I did. You saw it?
All right.
You saw it? Yeah, I know.
I noticed it.
You did?
Yep. All right, item 5.0, announcements of actions taken in closed session. Ann?
Good evening, Vice President Singh. There are two announcements coming out of closed session this evening. First, the board approved a special education settlement agreement identified as OAH case number 2023-120695 by a vote of 5-0 with members Phillips and Villa absent. The next announcement will come from Interim Superintendent Allen.
Thank you. I am pleased to announce that the board approved the following appointment. By a vote of 5-0, with board members Phillips and Villa absent, the board approved the appointment of Mary Harden-Young as the deputy superintendent effective May the 1st. Ms. Harden-Young is at step 6 on the superintendent's cabinet salary schedule and will remain as the deputy superintendent and continue to receive the same health and welfare benefits as other cabinet level employees.
All right, 6.0, agenda adoption.
So, second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, cool. All right, 7.0, public comment.
We begin with Mr. Phil Rios. He has one speaker who has donated their time, so Mr. Rios gets 4 minutes.
Transportation? Okay. Thank you. Evening, Mr. Rhodes, South Silicon, Arthur.
Oh, good evening, Mr. President, board members. Good to be here tonight.
My name is Phil Rios. I'm current president of Vietnam Veterans of America, Sacramento Valley Chapter 500, and American GI Forum, State of California. I submitted this so you could easily read it and follow, so I can keep it brief. Chinua Rhodes, sir, et al. Greetings. This is to follow up on our inquiry based on Sacramento Podium during December 2023 school board meeting. Issues of concern for the area students, lack of little or no school bus transportation being provided to the Sacramento area students. Their safety is the utmost priority, and our veterans community discovered the unsafe methods that the teachers must endure when transporting their groups to and from various pre-approved field trips. 1, why is there little or to no school bus transportation provided for students going to field trips back and forth? 2, who is responsible for the funding and allocating Mondays to ensure school buses can be provided to transport these students safely to and from school field trip locations? 3, where is and who determines the money allocated for school bus transportation? 4, As great-grandparents and grandparents and parents of school-aged children, we ask answers to our questions to be at a good time and date for your convenience. I'm a grandfather, great-grandfather. I'm a product of the school system through Donner Elementary, Peter Lassen, and Hiram Johnson. So back then, there were school buses provided. Whatever transpired, that the buses cannot be provided due to monies or allocations. Our question is, where is the money? Why is it not being allocated? And the safety of the students. What we discovered and upset us, 40 kids came to Vietnam Veterans Memorial on Capitol Park. They had to go by bus and light rail. These teachers had to monitor the kids. I saw them get off of the bus. What if a kid missed the bus? What if a kid missed the light rail? You have predators out there looking just for this. Safety is first. If there's no money there, you need to find the money, please, and make it responsible and safety. We were shocked that they had to travel back the same way. If it was a rainy day, that's our questions. You know, we don't want you guys to get defensive. We don't want to be attacking you. It's just, I'm a parent of a grandchild. And I just want to know, why aren't there buses provided like when I was a kid? If there's a money issue, find out who has the power and authority to fix it. If it's state, county, or whatever, get it fixed. That's our question. And I thank you for your time and attention, Mr. Rhodes. I close this comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Molly Luna.
I submitted something earlier, so I don't have to go into all the details, but it's about the bathrooms being locked during the school hours for JFK High School.
Could you scoot up?
Oh, sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
The bathrooms are locked during the school hours at JFK, most of the time. It's been going on for a really long time, and like one of my kids holds it from 7:30 in the morning till about 5:30 when he gets out. Most of the boys just don't drink. So I'm not asking for money, but what's the plan? You know, I've contacted the school, I've contacted the district multiple times, but can we like hire monitors or, I mean, I know the doors are open sometimes, so that doesn't help. Some kind of maybe suspending the kids that are actually vaping or whatever the issue is. Just like, is it legal to have all the bathrooms closed or most of them? Because they can't miss class if they're waiting in line. And then when they are in line, it's a cloud of vape smoke that they have to be standing in the whole time. So do we have a game plan for doing it instead of just locking them all? Like for sanitary reasons and stuff. So that's, I guess, our question. And I just haven't gotten any response back. So maybe if you guys could address in an email or something what the plan is, we'd appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Diana Barriga, and she has other speakers who've donated their time. She has a total of 10 minutes, 20 with translation.
Okay, I'll try. I'll try my best. Okay. Hola, buenas tardes. Como madre preocupada me veo la necesidad de expresar mi profunda inquietud por la inseguridad que está pasando en nuestra escuela.
Hi, my name is Diana Barriga. As a mother who's preoccupied, I can see that the need to express my profound concerns for the security and the lack of security, should I say, lack of security and well-being of her children at the campus and the school of at Bowling Green, McCoy Elementary School.
Vamos a ser cortas. En nuestra escuela hemos encontrado navajas Tenemos falta de supervisión en el horario escolar, en recesos, en almuerzos. Hay muchas peleas. Está muy preocupante. Estamos muy consternados por todo lo que está pasando. ¿Cómo es posible que haya navajas en una escuela primaria?
So she's seen at that school, they've found razor blades at the school, and it's very concerning to have razor blades at the elementary school. And so there's not a lot of teachers and staff there taking care of the take care of the students, and there's nobody cleaning up the razor blades, and she just feels that it's not a secure or safe environment for her children or any of the children at that school because there are razor blades being left around at the school.
También hemos perdido 3 miembros del personal este año. No hay nadie en la oficina que hable español. Todos los padres tenemos que hablar y no podemos hablar porque no hay nadie. Y hemos perdido 3 personas.
So they've lost 3 people, staff members, administrators at the school. There's now nobody in the office that speaks Spanish. And so there's nobody that any of the parents that speak Spanish can talk to, and there's less and less people working there.
Un alto nivel de aprendices de inglés.
And it's making it harder, like it's making them need to learn English more as parents.
También hemos encontrado homeless que duermen en nuestra escuela, en un lugar donde se guardan las herramientas, está un homeless. Lo encontró una niña de 2º grado. Esto es horrible, pensar que yo me voy a mi casa y no sé qué pasa con mi hijo. Nunca se me habló, nunca se me dijo que había un homeless, que había navajas, que hay cigarros electrónicos en la escuela.
So they've also seen homeless people at the school, living at the school. They've found a 2nd grade girl with a homeless person. And as a mother, she's afraid of her own kids to come to school, to come to and from school, and being around with the homeless adults living there, being around a school with knives and razor blades, and with electronic cigarettes that are being laid out everywhere.
También no tenemos representación en la junta directiva, los padres de aprendices de inglés, ni tampoco la comunidad afroamericana. Todos son bienvenidos en nuestra escuela, no solo yo hablo por todos los demás, pero en especial la comunidad afroamericana y nosotros estamos sufriendo en esta escuela.
So she's saying that the school board doesn't have any representation, Mexican or Spanish-speaking representation. I know Genoa Rose speaks Spanish, but they don't have any Latino representation on the school board. But she has felt some community with the Black Parallel School Board and the support, and because she feels that the children that are suffering the most are the Black and the Hispanic children in the school district.
También hoy tratamos de expresar todas estas preocupaciones antes con Enrique Flores, con la directora, y no nos escucharon. Tratamos de hablar hoy fuera de la escuela y la directora le tomó fotos a mis hijos sin consentimiento porque estábamos hablando todos y pidiendo que nos ayuden. Estaban afuera de la calle estuvimos. Entonces ella le tomó fotos a mis hijos y yo nunca le di permiso y eso lo sentí como acoso a alguien que quiere expresar lo que siente.
She's tried to talk to Enrique Villanueva. Enrique Flores and the director, Elisa Villanueva, who's the principal at the school. And she felt like the principal was actually bullying them because when they went to try to talk to the principal to ask for help, they were on the sidewalk and she was taking pictures of the kids without her consent. And she just felt like they were being attacked and not actually being listened to.
Sé que no tengo mucho tiempo, pero tengo dos casos que espantan. Mi sobrino va al preschool y se perdió por 40 minutos, no supieron de él. Y cada vez que va a la escuela regresa todo golpeado. Tiene problemas de lenguaje, no puede hablar. Tenemos un año que queremos terapia de lenguaje y tampoco se lo han dado. Entonces no sabemos qué pasó en esos 40 minutos que estuvo perdido, ni los golpes que recibió porque no puede defenderse.
So her nephew, he's the little boy sitting in the corner. He's in preschool at Bowling Green McCoy, and he went missing for 40 minutes. He's nonverbal, and he takes speech therapy classes, and so he wasn't able to communicate with anybody that he was missing. He's been taking speech therapy classes, but it hasn't helped with learning how to speak or anything. He doesn't speak English or Spanish. He just doesn't speak. And so when they found him, he was all bruised up. He looked like he was beat up. Somebody hit him. He had bites on him. And he's a defenseless little kid that was lost for 40 minutes, and nobody in the school did anything to help her or help find him for 40 minutes, sorry.
Necesitamos que nos puedan apoyar, por favor, porque no hay una persona que entienda la comunidad de Bowling Green. No somos una escuela con problemas. Mi hijo va a ir a una gran escuela y estuvo ahí. Los hijos de mi compañera están en high school, otros están en Sac State. Es una gran escuela, no tiene problemas, solo que no encontramos la persona correcta que tenga humanidad, que nos ayude y que sienta lo mismo que los padres.
So Bowling Green McCoy is not a bad school. A lot of the kids from Bowling Green actually she has family members at Bowling Green that went to Bowling Green and are now at Burbank in different high schools in Sacramento, and some are even at Sac State. So it is a good school, but they haven't been able to find a principal or administration that's in charge, or even a school board member who's not even here right now, that actually cares about the humans and the children that are going to that school.
Último, este es otro caso donde hubo amenazas de muerte en un baño y Enrique y Elizabeth Villanueva estuvieron enterados y no ayudaron a la familia. Ellos están aquí, van a hablar, pero decirle a una niña que van a matar a su mamá si habla es difícil.
So there was death threats given to a child at and one of the parents is actually going to speak about that situation more in depth, but to have death threats and the fact that Enrique and Villanueva knew about the situation and haven't done anything about it, it's very difficult to continue to send their kids to this school and trust this district if nothing's getting done.
Una más. Alguien del distrito mandó una carta para uno de nuestros yard duties que tiene mucho tiempo y conoce a los niños y estamos contentos y solamente la van a transferir a otra escuela porque no tiene suficiente tiempo en esa posición, pero es perfecta para nosotros los padres. Juntamos firmas, aquí están los papás que quieren que se queden. No queremos que ella se vaya porque es lo único que hace fuerte a Bowling Green. El personal y los maestros que han estado por años. Ustedes ven ahí, esa escuela tiene 20 años en la misma escuela. Nosotros no somos el problema. Es el director que no está comprometido, que no quiere la comunidad. No entiendo. Bowling Green no es.
She also has a petition. They sent a petition around because there is one yard duty that the community and the parents at Bowling Green actually do like and does pay attention to their students and is beloved in the community. And for whatever reason, they're trying to send the yard duty to another school. And so they gathered the signatures, and because they don't feel represented by, the parents of Bowling Green don't feel represented by the director of the principal of the school, and they're not feeling like they're being heard. And they've lived there for over 20 years and have kids that have gone through the system for over 20 years.
Estos son un poco de todos los reportes que hemos tenido. Todos son muy graves. Ya los hicimos, no ha pasado nada. Por eso es que hoy vine a hablar aquí, por mi escuela, por el staff y por los maestros.
So she brought a binder filled with different complaints of different incidents that have happened at Bowling Green within the past year or so, and they've been given to the district, yet nothing has been done. They're not being heard, and this is why she came tonight, because she wants the school board to know what's going on and action to be taken.
Tenemos un alto número de suspensión. La mayoría son afroamericanos y latinos. Mi escuela se compone de afroamericanos y latinos. Solo por los que yo estoy aquí, por todos los niños yo abogo, pero en especial la comunidad afroamericana, los latinos, sufrimos mucho por tener un lugar seguro donde estar. Pero tenemos sueños y los vamos a lograr.
The black and Latino children are suffering the most. Most of the suspension at that school has been from black and Latino children. And those are the children that are suffering the most. So she's here to advocate for all of the children, but most importantly, the children that are suffering the most, which is the black and Latino children.
Mis manos ya no me ayudan. Oh, último. Aquí está. Mira.
So there are over 40 suspensions at Bowling Green McCoy under interim Villanueva's administration. 45% of those suspensions are African American students, yet they only make up 10% of the school, which is approximately 46 students. Wow, that's ridiculous. How do we improve the chronic absenteeism rate, disparity gaps, and relationships with our African American students when they're the ones being suspended the most and there's no restorative processes under Villanueva's administration?
Lo único que les pido es apoyo por Bowling Green. Les prometo que vamos a hacer todo nuestro esfuerzo para que nuestros hijos lleguen a la universidad, pase lo que pase.
She's asking for support of the families and parents at Bowling Green and the students at Bowling Green, and the community is going to do whatever they can, use all of their force and power to make sure that these students go to college and become successful adults.
Thank you. Gracias.
No other public comment.
Thank you so much. Moving on to 8.0 communications, we'll start with SCTA.
Good evening. I'm David Fisher, First Vice President of the Sacramento City Teachers Association. So first of all, we were excited to see 9.1 on the agenda this evening, the official confirmation of our new superintendent, Lisa Allen. It's good news. As we've been stating since the decision made by the majority of the school board to move the district in a different direction in July of 2023, under Superintendent Allen, along with the majority of the school board, educators are responding positively to the new constructive engagement from the district. Tonight, you'll hear a report from of the progress in the Community Schools Advisory Committee. You hear about our work on the MTSS design team that continues to progress. You'll hear about our work as we've begun to develop a more comprehensive professional learning program, also in conjunction with Sac State. And after several attempts, we have a meeting scheduled next week to discuss the implementation of Prop 28 funds and the district's overall VAPA program and art in general. We continue to work through challenges in special education and can report that a long-delayed but very productive meeting with the independent monitor overseeing the implementation of the settlement agreement related to the Black Pearl School Board lawsuit. Was a good first meeting with them. So while we continue to experience some bumps along the way, the district's approach to addressing those bumps has been a sea change and continues to be. We're confident with Superintendent Allen and with the continued support of the majority of the school board that we will continue to move our district in a positive direction. Thank you, and have a great evening, and congratulations, Judge.
Thank you, David. Thank you so much. Up next, we have SEIU. All right, TCS. Teamsters. UPE. Okay, cool. Moving on to 8.2, District Advisory Committee, Student Advisory Council. Community Advisory Committee. District English Learner Advisory Committee. LCAP. BAAB. Community Schools Advisory Committee.
Good evening, Board and Superintendent Ellen. Great news. For this Community Schools Advisory Committee report, we're participating in the California Teacher Association's call to action for community schools. Across California, districts are sharing their successes and challenges in this valuable work in the past year. So we're going to start off by saying a land acknowledgement that we remember we are on the ancestral lands of the Miwok, Patwin, Karkim, Nisinan tribes, those who were and are the original caretakers of these lands, and as they are all stewards of it, so shall we that we are part of the land as it is part of us. We first want to thank you for letting us share our voices in the work we are doing together as a collaborative community to bring forward joint decision-making with community schools. We are all honored to be part of the Community Schools Advisory Committee and are here to share, praise, and even challenge each other and the community into this work. CSAC has been meeting every 2 weeks to help pave the way and get our district on the road of getting our 18 schools from starting to running with the goal of flourishing and creating lasting changes within their local communities. Our co-chairs are Shanna Just and Jacqueline Garner, with Melanie Bean as our secretary. We are in the beginning phases of reaching out to our community partners. Our goal is to have a district specialist position established so that school sites can post and hire their community school specialists before the end of the school year so that they can hit the ground running this summer. There will be a community schools forum open to the public during the evening of Wednesday, April 24th at Luther Burbank High School from 5 to 6 p.m. for us and other districts around us, such as Twin Rivers, San Juan, and Folsom, Cordova, in the works as well. We ask if you could commit your presence and support in the outreach for this forum. We, as a CSAC, would like to challenge the board to do more than words of support for our work. Come join us in reaching out to the community members as we begin conversations of educating our communities on this work. We urge you to reach out to your school sites and administrators to start and bring conversations for lasting change to our communities and our schools, starting with the first 18. We urge you to reach out to your CSAC appointees and support them in their work. We urge you to create spaces to hear directly from the mouths of our youth and parents and caregivers. We urge you to take the time to reach out and have conversations with the teachers in these 18 schools. Tap into your relationships that you currently have with city and county leaders, as well as community partners, to be part of these vital conversations. We invite you to begin a new culture of community by continually connecting with the folks on the ground in the communities and living the realities of the changes that we collectively work towards changing together. Your presence and visibility would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, April. Next up, we have the American Indian Education Program Parent Committee.
Good evening. My name is Amy Lopez. I am a member of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma. My son is in the 8th grade and attends the School of Science and Engineering, School of Engineering and Science, and he loves it. I love it too. I'm a member of the American Indian Education Parent Committee. Since our last update, we have had a few meetings regarding insurance for our cultural educators. Some solutions have been brainstormed, and we hope to have some specific answers as early as tomorrow. We almost have insurance worked out for the guests at our graduation coming up in May, and we are working on firming up our educators for the summer program. As far as our classroom educator, Dr. Leal, she is having a difficult time finding a provider that will insure her at the level that the district is requiring. All of her presentations will be put on hold while she continues to search. These presentations not only benefit our Native students in the district, but all students and teachers gain from what she teaches. We'd like to take a moment to thank school board members and the community for showing up at the unveiling of the mural project at the Miwok Middle School last month. It was a great celebration, seeing art and community at work and having our Miwok and Nisenan brothers and sisters represented in a good way. Oh. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, moving on to 9.0 special presentations. We're going to start with 9.1, approving superintendent agreement for Lisa Allen. So I'll start this off. So this next item addresses the board's discussion and possible approval of an employment agreement with interim superintendent Allen. The proposed contract contains the following material terms. Number one, the term under this agreement will begin on May 1st, 2024 and end on June 30th, 2026. The superintendent's base salary will remain the same as for 2023-2024 school year at $325,000. The superintendent is entitled to receive the same health and welfare benefits and life insurance as certificated management employees, as those benefits may change from time to time. The superintendent is also entitled to lifetime health benefits on the same terms and conditions as other qualifying certificated employees as of the time of her initial employment. The superintendent shall be entitled to 22 days of annual vacation, not to exceed 44 days, and will receive a one-time payment of $48,505 in recognition of all unused vacation time accrued during her tenure as an employee of the district. The superintendent shall earn 1 day of sick leave with pay for each full month of service and receive an expense allowance of $4,800 per year for reasonable, actual, and necessary business-related expenses. The superintendent will be provided technology devices by the district and reimbursed for actual and necessary expenses incurred within the course and scope of her employment for travel and related expenses. This concludes a summary of the proposed material terms to the superintendent contract. Complete copies are available in the back or from the district office upon request. So I'm actually going to move over to public comment. Do we have any public comment?
We do not.
All right. So in lieu of a board discussion, we've all contributed to this statement. We are thrilled to announce that Lisa Allen has accepted the position of superintendent of our district. An educational leader with 3 decades of experience in SUSD, she has served in positions like private school specialist, multilingual director, area assistant superintendent, and for the last year as our interim superintendent. She is eminently qualified for this role. A trailblazer, Lisa Allen is the second woman and the first Black woman to serve as superintendent. And it is her heart for students, her keen mind, and her calm presence that shape her leadership. She is collaborative. She approaches all situations with an open mind, and she's effectively managing negotiations with our labor partners. She's hiring dynamic and representative staff members serving in key roles throughout our district. She is the epitome of a servant leader, and she is the right person to continue serving as superintendent of our wonderfully diverse district. All right. Yes, so do we have a motion? All right, let's have you start this voting process. Yes, don't worry, I'm gonna start with you. Student preferential vote.
Aye.
Member Kayada.
Yes.
Member Jean.
Wholeheartedly aye.
Member Pritchett.
Absolutely, yes.
Member Rhodes.
Aye.
And Member Singh.
Yes. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Go ahead.
I would like to thank the Board of Education and express my deepest appreciation for entrusting me with this responsibility. I am grateful, humbled, and feel the weight as I accept the role of superintendent of this fantastic district. I am honored to serve alongside our dedicated cabinet, staff, students, families, and community. My job title may be changing, but my top priority remains the same: improving student outcomes. And we accomplish that by working collectively to ensure our schools are safe, welcoming, and inclusive spaces where every student is empowered to learn and thrive. I want to thank my predecessors for their dedication to this district. And I would also like to acknowledge my friends and family who have supported me and stood by me every step of the way, especially my sons, my grandchildren who I know are watching, and my husband, Kevin, who is in the back. People who know me and my husband's journey understand that it has not been an easy road. However, that has absolutely not stopped us. And Kevin, I cannot thank you. I just cannot thank you enough for supporting me through everything. So as a Sac City team, all of us together, and I mean all of us, board, staff, our wonderful labor partners, parents, and community, let's embrace the challenges together with optimism, determination, collaboration, shared vision, innovation, creativity, with having our students in mind, because they need us and they deserve to be at the forefront of decisions that are being made. I am committed to this work, and I am honored to serve as the superintendent of this great district. So thank you.
This is not on here, but can we take a photo with you? Would that be cool with you? Can we go take a photo with you? All right.
Hey, Mary, too. Mary, you're in.
Come on, Mary.
Mary, come on. Kevin, come on. Yeah.
I know what's going to happen now. I've watched these.
He can stand next to you.
Can you take that mask off?
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
You guys are doing good work.
That's true. Should we do another tribute? All right, moving on to 9.2, recognition of Heroes of the Arts Awards.
All right, good evening. Oh, let me move that. I promised that I would keep it short. But I think that I get to be the first employee to officially address Superintendent Allen, and I'm just going to take 5 seconds of the 300 they gave me to bask in that. Okay, I'm done. All right, cool. School board members, Superintendent Allen, district personnel, and fellow advocates of the arts. Tonight, we honor and celebrate the achievements of 2 remarkable individuals who have dedicated their careers to shaping young minds through the power of artistic expression. It fills me with immense pride to acknowledge the accomplishments of our outstanding SCUSD arts teachers, Jennifer Nakayama and Molly Morrison. Their unwavering commitment to nurturing creativity and fostering a love for the arts within our community has left an indelible mark on countless lives. Their dedication and passion has made a profound impact on the cultural landscape of our district. On March 16th, both of these teachers were presented with Heroes of Arts Education Awards at a ceremony at the Sophia Theater that was attended by fellow teachers, administrators, and arts advocates from across the county. It was a big deal. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce you to Allison Cagley, who's the Executive Director of the Friends of Sacramento Arts, to tell you more about these awards and her organizations and recognize these outstanding teachers today.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having us. Friends of Sacramento Arts started at the invitation of the mayor back in 2019 after the Creative Edge Culture Plan was released, recognizing the gap in arts education for our children. And Friends of Sacramento Arts' mission is to ensure equitable access to comprehensive arts education, education reform, and our vision is arts every day for every child in every school. So last year we started during March, which is Arts Education Month, to honor arts teachers from around the region. Superintendent Dave Gordon came and makes the presentations with us, as well as other arts leaders and folks around the community. And we invite you to come next year, if you weren't able to come this year, to honor teachers from your district. So we have some slides there that show a little bit about them, and I'd like to honor and thank Jennifer and Molly. We're providing them not only a certificate and it's a goodie bag that we gave that night, but also an honorarium for each of them to further their arts education programs in their schools. So it's our honor to award them and recognize them in front of you tonight.
And we have 2 minutes. They would like a photo with the school board if we could do that.
Yeah. Do you have any, would you like to say something first?
We have some minutes left. Well, I would just love to address the school board and say thank you for having us. And of course, Superintendent Allen, congratulations. Thank you for having this evening. And it's an honor to be recognized both by CJ and by Allison and Friends of Sacramento Arts. And that evening was exceptional. And it feels weird to be honored for doing something that I love every day, but it's awfully nice. So thank you.
Oh.
I'd definitely like to echo those sentiments. Thank you so much for recognizing us, and thank you so much for your support of the arts. It is a joy doing what I do every day, and it's the support of CJ and Allison and each and every one of you that makes it a dream job, and I appreciate all that you do for us. Congratulations. Thank you.
Brian, do you have any public comment?
We do not.
Perfect. Now we'll come down. I'm never going to miss it now.
I guess they're coming back down.
Yes, they do. Find your way now.
It's like a cause and effect.
That's 100%.
Every action will have a reaction.
Just the yellow part. Just the yellow part. All right, moving on to item 9.3, approving resolution number 3398, recognition of April as National Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Member Pritchett.
Thank you, Member Singh. Yes, I have the pleasure of introducing resolution number 3398, recognition of National Sexual Assault Awareness Month. I won't read the whole resolution to you, but I'd like to point out some of the key factors and some of the things that Sac City is doing for preventing sexual assault within our schools. So whereas Sexual Assault Awareness Month calls for attention to the fact that sexual violence is widespread and it impacts every person in the community. And whereas the goal of Sexual Assault Awareness Month is to raise public awareness about sexual violence and educate communities on how to prevent it. And whereas freedom from sexual assault is a basic human right. Whereas abuse can happen anywhere, at work, at home, at school, in other public places, or online. And whereas every 68 seconds, an American is sexually assaulted, and every 9 minutes, that victim is a child. And whereas the Sacramento City Unified School District has undertaken the efforts to sustain recently expanded mental health support staff to address the physical and emotional safety and mental and physical health needs of our students. And whereas the Sacramento City Unified School District has training, policies, and procedures in place for all staff and students to report suspected sexual abuse and assault through mandated reporting. Title 10? Title 9. Yeah, Title 10 reporting and sexual assault or sexual harassment board policy 5145.7 and 4119.11 for employees of the district. And now therefore be it resolved that the Sacramento City Unified School District Board of Education proclaims April 2024 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month and urge all SUSD community members to support sexual assault survivors, including when survivors reach out and disclose abuse, and to strengthen our efforts to prevent this abuse in the first place.
Thank you, Member Pritchett. Do we have any public comment?
We do not.
Board discussion.
I'll move it.
Do you have a second? All right, we got to do a roll call vote. So we'll start with the student preferential vote.
Aye.
Member Kayada?
Aye.
Member Jean?
Aye.
Member Pritchett?
Aye.
Member Rhodes?
Aye.
Member Singh?
Aye.
So moved.
And it passes. Thank you so much. Moving on to item 9.4, Summer Matters 2024 Academics and Enrichment.
Good evening, Board. Good evening, Superintendent Allen. I'm Shannon Pella, Deputy Chief of Academics, and we're here to update you on the Summer Matters program for this year. I do want to start just by saying that summer matters, and it matters to our kids, it matters to our families, it matters to our school communities, and it matters for a lot of different reasons, including health and wellness, both physical and mental, learning and fun. And tonight we have our Summer Matters Learning Team here to share. Manpreet Kaur and Dr. Leslie Hernandez will share with you how our Summer Matters programs, are going to provide opportunities for all students to learn and grow. And I'm going to pass it on over now. Thank you.
Respected board members and dear superintendent, I am Manpreet Kaur, Director Youth Development Support Services. Summer matters. Yes, long, hard days at work, beautiful evenings, summer matters. It matters because we are going to do a lot of programs for our students to mitigate their learning loss. That happens usually when they are out of classroom for almost 10 weeks. By providing them academic interventions, enrichments, so that they can move on their path to graduation. Now, how are we going to pay for it? So you see 4 bullet points on this slide. The first 2 are state-funded expanded learning grants, and the bottom 2 are federally funded expanded learning grants. And all these expanded learning grants, they have summer programming funding tied to these grants. When you look at the staffing 2023, you see all these positions listed, and we hired these people last year when we did the summer programming. Now, when we assessed the needs for this school year, summer program, we are going to add a few more. You see that we will have a clerical staff at each of our elementary, K-8, and middle school sites, behavior specialists to support our students, and counselors at high schools to help the students with their credit recovery and other needs. So what are some of the programs that we are running during summertime? Extended school year, it's a mandatory program for our district. Summer Matters, TK through 12th grade. And then there will be bridge and transition programming. Principals will do their proposals based on the needs of their students and their sites. Freedom School is a program by Children's Defense Fund, and it focuses on civil rights movement. Youth employment. Kids love working, our high school students, they love working during summertime because they can make some money, and we love having them working in our programs. Summer at City Hall is a collaboration, and it has been going on for the last 8 years. Our students will be at City Hall, and we will be hiring 3 of Sac City Unified School teachers who will be working with those students. Community programs, we will be offering those for the month of August. Sometimes parents have needs for their children to be at a safe place when school is not in session, and that dates and the time will depend on our next year's school schedule. And a dependent charter has these dates because sometimes they are on a different schedule. Along with these programs, we have some other small programs. One program I do want to mention is a 1-week program for our Native and American Indian students, and it's a culturally based program. Locations. When we selected the sites for this summer programming, we looked at 2 things. First, we met with the facilities, and we made sure that to a minimal construction, no construction is going on at these sites because safety is very important for students. Once we had a green light from them, after that, we also made sure that all these school sites are located in different directions of the district, so parents won't have to drive too long to take their kids. Sometime during summertime, kids stay with their grandma, grandpa, aunties. So we have these sites located in almost covering the whole district. You see the blue font. These are the sites where we will have extended school year and Summer Matters running simultaneously, and the reason is we want to give our students with special needs the same opportunities for enrichment that the other students will have. So once their programming is done, if they can come to Summer Matters, because Summer Matters will run longer hours if they choose to do so. You see middle and high schools. 2 of our middle schools will be going through extensive construction, so they will be running at their neighboring high schools. And at the same time, one of our high school will be running at a different high school because they will be going through construction. Same with the Luther Burbank. That site will have both Summer Matters and extended school year for high school students. Student identification. Student identification. So how are we going to identify who are going to be in these programs? And according to all these grants, we have a priority. We don't say no to any students. Application is opened on our website, and students are applying. As I mentioned, foster youth, homeless students, and also unduplicated students will be priority, and we will not be saying no to them. Site designed program, students, principals, and their staff will identify students based on their needs. Credit recovery, students who are deficient in credits, they will have this opportunity to take classes during summer programming. And priority is for our seniors because sometimes they need 1 or 2 classes in order to graduate on time. ESY student, we all know they are predetermined according to their IEP. Program structure. From 8 to noon, students will be with their teachers. We will hire certificated staff who will be doing academic interventions with our students based on the training that we will be providing to them. From noon to 5 o'clock, students will be with expanded learning providers going through all the fun-loving enrichments. That's what we are famous for. We will have all the fun coming to our sites, or we will be taking students to all the fun places. On Thursdays, our teachers will have collaborative time. On those days, students will move over to expanded learning, and teachers will have from 11 to 12 o'clock their collaborative time or their working with other teachers. And you see at high schools, we will be running program from 8 to noon. And so there will be later on, no programming for enrichment, but principals are asked to turn in their proposals for bridge programming so that students can have, or especially incoming freshman students can build a relationship with the adults at the sites. So when they come in fall for their new school year, they already know about their school and their teachers. Here is the TK to 8 schedule instructional block, 8:15 to 10 a.m., theme-based learning. We have a really cool theme. We are working, and teachers will be trained, provided all the materials. Recess break, and then after that, instructional block 2. And in this, at this time, there will be small group instruction too, and the whole group both time. During lunchtime, as I mentioned earlier, expanded learning staff will take over. And you see on the other column, collaborative time, Thursdays, same schedule. The only thing is there will be less minutes, and students will move to expanded learning providers at 11 o'clock. Professional learning. So we have 3 days of professional learnings for Summer Matters staff. And then for ESY, we have 4 days of professional learning. 1 extra day of professional learning is for ESY teachers who will be working in those programs. And the reason is they have to go through certain kind of paperwork and also to learn about certain directions from ESY administrators or special ed department. So ESY, 4 days of training. Summer Matters, 3 days of training. Communication and outreach, we have done extensively already, and we will continue doing so. All the principals, they sent the flyers home, they made robocalls, text, emails, our district social media pages. I'm sure you saw the advertisement. And then expanded learning providers sent flyers home too. All the flyers are translated in different languages so that parents know that summer programs are happening. And I'm very happy to tell you that as of today, we almost have 2,100 applications in a TK through 8th grade programs. Exciting, yeah. Program evaluation, attendance shows engagement. So if students will be coming to the programs, of course they are engaged, they like it. Student and staff perceptions, we will be doing a survey. And the theme-based learning that our teachers will be doing with students, there are already built-in assessments, progress monitoring using Core 5, Power Up, Alexia English, and our teachers will have all these materials, all these supplies. And then Freedom School assessments, they are also built in. And high schools, We will see how many students participate in credit recovery, how many students complete it. Completion of credit recovery will show the engagement to us. Courses completed again and credits earned. So that's the ESY daily schedule, and I would ask my colleague to come forward.
Yes. Hello, thank you. My name is Dr. Leslie Hernandez. I'm one of the administrators of Teaching and Learning. Thank you. Nice to see you, Superintendent Allen, and approaching the board. I just want to talk a little bit briefly about the extended school year daily schedule that we're going to have in place. It is going to be Monday through Friday. And we're doing like a 3-tier. So we'll have a school start at 7:45. One school site will be at 8:15. We have a school site that will start at 8:45. So when we look at the schedule for the extended school year, of course, we want to start with breakfast because we want to make sure that the students are well fed. And then from there, we're going to usher into the social emotional learning component of the extended school year day for them. That will lead right into the instructional block. So we're looking at English language development pieces. During that time, that will lead us into the recess and break. Then from there, we will go into the instructional block 2. That will be more of the math and science, and then we'll wrap it up with the reflection. We are really working really closely with the Summer Matters as far as what the other general ed Summer Matters classes are doing for academics. So we've been working really a lot of good alignment next to our Summer Matters partners. As far as some of the next steps that we're looking at, as far as this journey of kind of going through the Summer Matters pieces and continuing our planning for summer programs, one of the things that it's just the next step for us is engaging with our labor partners. We have not finalized our MOUs for either the UPE, SEIU, or either the SCTA. So we're still doing that work, and that's still pending. We're working really closely with our interdepartmental collaboration. It's been a lot of collaboration with all of the different departments, which has been wonderful, has been a beautiful experience. We also are going to continue our work with Human Resource Department as far as posting and reposting. We're going to constantly keep those postings going until hopefully we get enough staff in order to cover as many vacancies that we have, or assignments that we need, excuse me. We also want to continue the working with our technology services to enroll students. And then the other thing that we're trying to make sure that we're doing is to continue to troubleshoot needs as they arise. So right now I want to also invite Dr. Shannon Pella to come up, and we're going to show you a video. And the video shows the student ambassadors, and we're going to look at have an opportunity to look at both the students as well as the staff and their testimonies that they have to share from last year. Okay, so stay tuned and let's watch it. Do we got it going? Okay. That's why I didn't want to do it.
Well, okay, maybe we can just play a couple seconds of it, and then we'll post it on the Summer Matter website. Okay, thank you so much. We will post that on our Summer Matters website. Thank you so much. Before we do questions, I just want to take a moment because the teams work so hard, but they also bring so much joy to their work. So I'd like to just recognize the folks from Youth Development who are in the room. If you would please stand and recognize. Thank you. Thank you. So 13 years they have served as Summer Matters supporters.
All right, thank you so much. Let me first start to see if we have any public comment.
We do not.
All right, so board discussion. My screen's off. Go ahead, student member.
We have shirts for you guys. I'm just gonna pass these out.
Your board discussion is to pass out shirts. All right. Member Pritchett, go ahead.
Thank you for that presentation, and I know this is a big undertaking, so thank you all for your hard work on this. It really does make a big difference with learning loss. The one question I did have was, I know, if I remember in the past, we almost did like an opt-out model, and I'm wondering if we approach that like instead of like, if one of our students were not on track for their grade level, did we consider doing an opt-out instead of an opt-in?
So the one interesting thing about this year is summer school is for all students. And when I say all students, we're really looking at how we program and the program structure to differentiate for the needs of all students, whether it is that they need academic intervention or they are in need of more rigorous content. So our program structure is really built in where we have an instructional block for those students who are on track, ready to go, to differentiate for them. We also have an instructional block for the differentiation needed for students who are not on track for their grade level.
So it's still an application process, though. It's not an opt-out, right? It's an opt-in.
Yes.
So did we consider at all doing an opt-in or an opt-out for everyone?
We did not consider an opt-out option. We wanted everyone to look at summer school with a new lens. A lot of times, kids that are told to be in, it's almost punitive, right? And so we want it to be more flexible, change the perspective of summer school, that summer school is an engaging learning environment for all students.
Yeah, I totally understand where you're going with that, and I agree to some extent. The reason why I ask is that when I'm out in the community and I talk to a lot of parents, I often get that there's a lot of red tape, and they don't understand a lot of like what's happening here in the district office and how it trickles down into the school sites, right, of what they're being told, and then they don't understand. And I'd hate for your guys' hard work and everything to be lost on, oh, I didn't know. Right? I didn't understand. I didn't know that I could get my child in that. And then that one kid didn't get in, right? That really needed it. That's why I was asking. So it might be an opportunity for like a future year to maybe think about doing an opt-out of just an explanation of like, we're enrolling all students. Mm-hmm. And then an explanation of like, for those kids that aren't on track of like, your child's not on track, we recommend that your child has this, or if a child's just on track and just we want to, we've enrolled all students. If you don't want your child to be part of this, then you need to opt out. So,
thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you, Member Pritchett. Member Kayada.
So I guess just to follow up on that, do we have any sort of prioritization of kids who maybe their teachers recommend that they would be a good candidate, or are they just thrown in the pool? Like, I guess that is a question I have also. I'm not really a fan of opt-out necessarily, but I want to make sure that kids who have, even though we're accepting all kids, and my kids go there every year and we love it, but if there's a kid who like really needs it or has, a family situation where this is more helpful than others, do we have any way to prioritize them?
Absolutely. We held a principals meeting to discuss summer school, and in conversations, principals are very aware of students that need to be in summer school, and so we've encouraged principals to definitely share the information with parents, with their community, and then also really think through students that need to be a participant in summer school. So we are also going by referral. One thing I wanted to share with the board is we have an opportunity this year given to sites to really think of a site-designed academic program specific to the needs of their students at their site. We have our general core Summer Matters program, but we also are encouraging our site leaders to really think outside of the box and really develop something for their students where they are going to be the leaders in implementing it at their site. So that's an opportunity. We've encouraged everyone to participate. We had like a few site leaders already turn in proposals. Things that they can do would be, for example, language immersion program. We've always had summer school programs, but not the opportunity for site leaders to differentiate for their students. So like a bilingual program, I came from Kimball, so I'll just talk about Kimball. But we had students where they struggled throughout COVID to catch up. And when you're learning 2 languages, it's super difficult to do that. So having 5 weeks to really just come up with an academic plan to support that specific need is phenomenal. So we're really allowing all the sites to think of something intentional and purposeful for their students as well.
Okay, thank you. And then I just wanted to say, not responding, but this was my comment I had intended, which is just, keep up the great work. I really love the way that we roll this out. It doesn't, like you just said, it doesn't feel like, oh, it's summer school, you need remediation. It feels like, hey, for the kids and the families that just want more school, great, this is available for you and it's amazing. And like I said, my family, my kids are there, we love it every year. And yeah, just keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Are you gonna ask? I wanted to. Go ahead.
Okay, my quick question, just off topic, I guess, a little bit. Does that young man says "Make America Read Again" shirt? That's what the shirt says. I'm just interested to see what his shirt says. That's all I was interested in. You believe so, right?
I think we're all trying to read what the shirt says.
I was trying to read what the shirt says. That's all.
Just a general question. Thank you.
General question.
The other one says Aeropostale.
You guys made the slide.
Thank you for that. I thought you were going to come up with something critical, but thank you.
No, I think it's critical in some circles, definitely. just for you guys' eye when you guys are
Board
making
member
slides.
votes. Thank you. No, you made my night, seriously.
Oh my gosh. All right. Thank you. No further questions.
Okay. Thank you, you guys.
Well, I kept reading it. All right. Moving on to special education updates 9.5.
Good evening, Vice President Singh, Rhodes, our board members. Congratulations to Lisa Allen, our new superintendent. Tonight, I'll be presenting information and updates from the Special Education Department. And a special thanks and shout out to members of our team and our administrators from Special Ed who are also in the audience and present today. Uplifting the CUSD core values and guiding principles, we will work to confront and interrupt inequities to level the playing field and provide opportunities for our students. In terms of our guiding principles, we want to make sure that all students graduate with post-secondary options and opportunities, especially our students with disabilities. Tonight, you may see some acronyms. For example, a Resource Specialist Program, Special Day School, SDC. You'll see CDE, the California Department of Education. During tonight's presentation, we're going to key in on the federal governance, which is the Individuals with Disabilities Act. We'll also talk about some demographic and student outcome data, the importance of building trust, which was done through the listening tours, and planning for improvements. And then there'll be opportunities for questions and answers. My journey as a mom and an educator, this role as assistant superintendent is near and dear to my heart. I'm a parent of a child with special needs who went through some of the same challenges and struggles that I hear from our CAC parents and parents across the district. I consider myself in this role mom in chief and understand the dilemma that many of our families face, especially as diagnoses come. For us, it was very frustrating, it was scary, it was anxious, I was anxious about the impact that the disability will have on our family and on my child. However, I'm happy to report my child is doing well. He's in a great place and thriving. And I have the same commitment to the students, the families, and the staffs here in our district. It won't be easy. There are a lot of challenges, but I will say a change is coming. I've been saying to staff sometimes you have to go slow to go fast, and this too is to ensure that everyone is on board and no one is left behind. I've been a teacher, a high school principal, an assistant superintendent of special ed. I came here as executive director of LCAP, and again, assistant superintendent of SPED. My philosophy as a mom, and based on my experiences, I believe that special education is not a place, it's a service. Here's our governing law. It's called the Individuals with Disabilities Act. It guarantees a right to free and appropriate public education for our students. It's designed to meet the unique needs of our students with disabilities, and it ensures their rights are protected. Who do we serve? These are our 13 categories, and you see most of our students fall into the autistic category or our other health impairment, specific learning disability, and speech and language impairment. In terms of racial breakdown, most of our students are Hispanic and Latino, followed by African American. Unfortunately, most of our students with special needs are also, our students with disabilities are also low income. We provide supports to our students, inclusive practices, which is a co-teaching model where the general education and special education teacher are there to support the student. We have a resource specialist program, which is a pull-out program, a special day class where our students are in class with one teacher, the same teacher most of the day. We have non-public schools. We have residential treatment for those students with pretty significant behaviors, for example, and we have our adult transition. As we consider the need to create the district's first special education strategic plan driven by data and the results that will come from the Black Parallel School Board settlement, I'd like to draw your attention to this quote. Data is not about adding more to your plate, it's about making sure you have the right things on the plate. Here's our current state, here's where we are. As you can see, we have a long way to go in terms of academic performance for our students. If we look at chronic absenteeism, we do want that number to go down, so that is not pretty good. We have some ways to go. However, we're moving in the right direction with that. In terms of graduation rates, we took a dive here, and in terms of climate and culture, you'll see these data points. We have a lot of work to do. What this slide represents is we want our students to be included and in the least restrictive environment, not the most restrictive environment, like, for example, maybe an SDC class. We have staffing shortages, unlike shortages across the nation in terms of special ed. So we have vacancies, we have 45 teachers. We have a total of 78 instructional aides. In terms of our one-to-one aides that will provide support to students, we have a little over 35 positions open. In terms of our RBTs, those are our behavior technicians that provide direct support when students may be exhibiting certain behaviors. So there is a need there. In the midst of that, we do have some celebrations. So at Parkway, they celebrated with a pumpkin patch. They had a harvest festival, face painting. They had a DJ. We had Special Olympics in which Burbank and JFK and Rosemont and health professions participated, and also a Thanksgiving luncheon that was held at Burbank. A goal without a plan is a daydream. As we think about the district's strategic plan for special ed, I'd like to uplift that quote. You may remember, members of the board, you may remember these graphics from when I was the LCAP director. One of the things that I knew that I had to do was, again, to build trust. And I've been on the journey to build trust across the district through listening tours. I've talked to parents. We have 950 employees. Not that I've talked to 950, but I've talked to many, many of our groups and asked them through a SWOT analysis process and asked them, what are some strengths? What are some weaknesses? What are some opportunities for us to make improvement in the special ed department? And what are some threats to those opportunities? And I uplifted some things that were common threads. So one of the things, they love the collaboration. They feel like our district is going in a more positive direction. In terms of weaknesses within the special ed department, they said that there's a lack of communication, a lack of processes and procedures, and we tend to be unresponsive as a department. In terms of opportunities for improvement, it was really great hearing many of our psychologists, our speech and language folks, they want job-embedded professional learning. And in terms of threats or barriers, funding is always an issue. And they want to move away from a top-down approach into shared leadership. So moving away from doing things to people and instead with people. You may remember this. I introduced this as well as a process for strategic planning. We've done the first part, although I'm not complete with all the listening tours. I'm almost done. Our strategic plan will hopefully at some point one day, we have a ways to go, but inform our school plan, our SIPSs, creating an implementation model where change will be sustainable. Special education administrator leadership have already engaged in performance management where we're beginning to look at data points and creating actions in alignment with those data points. And then really looking at our strategic plan, what it's created, to see, progress monitor and see where we are in terms of meeting our goals and making any adjustments along the way. A key to this will be right after the strategic planning process is the impact analysis. So how does this plan, once it's developed, impact our students, our families, the community, our staff, our administrators, and thinking about that in a very proactive way so that we understand some of the root causes and we don't necessarily fall into maybe some things that have happened prior to. As we move forward to developing the strategic plan and doing it with everybody's voice in mind, here's a quote that I'd like to uplift. There's a difference between interest and commitment, and when you're interested in doing something, you do it only when it's convenient. When you're committed to doing something, you accept no excuses, only with results. I am, and we are, committed to improving results for our students with disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Public comment?
No public comment.
Board discussion? Go ahead, Member Kayada.
Crystal, thank you so much. I've said it before, I'm going to keep saying it. We're so glad to have you here. The way you speak about this special education not being a place. I mean, that's, a lot of people feel that, but when you say it, I can tell that you mean it. I can tell the passion you have for these students and for our staff who are working with kids who are crying out for help. And I really just appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think something that really stood out to me today was your recognition that really one of the most broken things in our special ed department that you came in to take over was that there's no trust. Families with special ed kids in this district, it doesn't take long. You talk to 2 or 3 other families who've been through it, and you hear, you're just gonna have to threaten a lawsuit. That's the only way Sac City would listen to you. And having you here and the change in direction that we're going, we can get to a place where, first of all, it'll cost us less if we're not settling lawsuits all the time, but more importantly, when a family gets to a point where they're thinking about suing us, when they're throwing their hands up and saying the process isn't working, that's time that these kids are not getting served. And I know that you feel that, and I really appreciate it. Ultimately, the other thing that I loved reading here in this presentation and hearing you say is just that we need to be always bottom up, not top down. It starts with the family, it starts with the teachers who work with the kids every day, it's the IEP team. So to the extent that we can continue growing that, fostering an environment where the IEP team really is the one deciding what's best for the student, independent of cost. We want to educate these kids. We want to graduate them. We want them to have a service that allows them to have the education that they deserve. And, to the extent that we can support our IEP teams, maybe within your office, having someone that the team can talk to and say, hey, this is a difficult case. I'm not really sure what's going on with this kid. Maybe it doesn't seem like the assessment is actually what's going on here. Maybe we missed something. The way for proactively fixing things before families get completely frustrated and time goes by. So really that's my, suggestion for today. And I know we talk and there's so many things we need to do, but I just want the message to be like, what great work you're doing and just amazing presentations. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think I'll just add that I really appreciate, I don't think it's a prerequisite to having gone through something personally, but the fact that you have the strength of sharing that up here with us is just very courageous. So I just want to thank you for sharing your personal experiences, and I can see that you bring that to the table every single day. So just appreciate you. And with that, I don't think we have any more comments. Oh, there we do. Go for it.
Thank you for just kind of your honest authenticity. I felt like the first time I met you, that was what you see is what you get, and I really appreciate that. As I was looking at slide 10 and looking at the percentages here, and then I think slide 11 as well, are these kind of indicative of equivalent to our population, or do we have spaces where there's discrepancies between our population overall and our identification in special education?
Well, I think this is kind of indicative of what our data says that we have. So, yeah.
I appreciate that. So the last thing is I was looking at your SWOT, which I always appreciate a good SWOT. Sorry, that sounded strength, weakness.
I knew what you meant.
Opportunity, threat, discussion, because I'm blushing now, aren't I? Because it just kind of, it gives you a way to have a complex conversation and acknowledge that there are things we are doing well, there are opportunities we have, there are places we need to improve, and there are things that are going to be hindrances, barriers, or threats to that improvement. Do you have a plan for what your next steps are? I know this is already very thorough and you've been on this plan of listening and gathering this data, and there's so much data here. But as you put your, are we going to say CESP together, Special Education Strategic Plan together, what are some of your ideas on how you want to approach that?
So we started with a couple of teams. I want to have work groups to work on this. And we started with our psychologists already. They've had, I think, 1 or 2 meetings to begin to work on. So what I did, Member Jean, is every group had their own SWOT analysis. And so that means that sometimes our psychologists, we say psychs, so I'm sorry, our psychologists may have obviously different weaknesses and things that they've identified as opposed to our speech folks. And so we started with our psychologists in a work group. We started with our principal teams in a work group to try to tackle some of these issues. So that work is started. I'm excited for the summer. I'm excited to get the information back from the Black Parallel School Board so that we can use those two things to set goals. And you know me, it won't be a lot of goals. It'll probably be 5 goals, and we can get those and do those real well and progress monitor them along the way using that continuous improvement cycle.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Go ahead, Member Pritchett.
So, hi. Thank you for this presentation, and I know this is of the great work of all of you and all of your department and everyone working on this work. Just based on the last presentation on the summer matters, I'm just wondering, like, are you guys working collaboratively, trying to figure out like how you guys can work together to get to those students? Like, I'm just trying to think of like.
Yeah, so we have so ESY, those are our special ed students. So when you want to come up, Doc? When Dr. Hernandez, sorry. So when she presented on ESY, that was our
That's what
students.
you're talking about. Okay, all right. So make sure that there's no silos happening. That you guys are working together. Good.
Really? Come on, they left.
Yeah.
I've been working really collaboratively with the team that was just here. So we constantly, we're meeting all the time. So
Amazing.
it's a lot heavy duty summer planning that's happening right now.
Great.
So again, my name is Dr. Leslie Hernandez, and I'm one of the administrators of Teaching and Learning.
Yes.
And I'm the lead for extended school year for our department this year.
Amazing. I'm glad that they're breaking down those silos and working together. So that's great work. Thank you.
Thank you for asking.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
All right, next up, it's 4/22 Day, Earth Day presentation. Also, I was gonna say 4/20.
All right. Good evening, board members and Superintendent Allen. My name is Chamberlain Segrist, and I am the Environmental Sustainability Manager for Sac City Unified. I am pleased to recognize Earth Day by presenting on our current and future work in the Sustainability Department. As always, here is our core value and guiding principle that drives all the work we do here in facilities and across the district. This includes recognizing we cannot fully address environmental issues without also addressing the root causes of systemic oppression. And here are our acronyms for this presentation, which I will give you a moment to read. And here is the agenda for this presentation. I will recognize Earth Day and then highlight our work in 4 sustainability pillars: buildings, transportation, waste reduction, and schoolyards. On April 22nd every year, more than 1 billion people celebrate Earth Day in order to promote environmental protection. This yearly ceremony is important. It unites people around a common goal. Earth Day was created in 1970 in response to increasing air and water pollution created by rapid and unregulated industrialization. This led to the creation of the Environmental Protection Agency and new environmental regulations, but it was not an inclusive movement. It is essential to recognize and grapple with the fact that the modern environmental movement actually increased pollution and environmental breakdown in some communities. On the left, we're looking at a map of redlining and segregation in Sacramento. The dark gray census tracts are communities that had racially restrictive covenants, which made it illegal to sell or rent land to people who were not white. And the light gray census tracts are communities, primarily communities of color, that experienced redlining and were mortgage deficient. Dr. Jesus Hernandez is a sociologist who helped us develop our Facilities Equity Index. In his paper, Redlining Revisited, he said you can take any societal ill and measure it based on where you live. And as you can see by the map on the right, this holds true for environmental harms as well. The map on the right and the map on the left have very similar patterns. And this is our Facilities Equity Index, where census tracts are categorized based on their level of community need and segregation. Again, the lighter colors are communities with high need and segregation, and this MAPS pattern, again, looks very similar to the other two. And as we saw on our last slide, neighborhoods with high community needs are disproportionately impacted by environmental harms, like excessive heat and asthma rates, and not coincidentally, are deficient in environmental benefits, like tree cover, clean air, and access to healthy food. In the Facilities and Sustainability Department, we are actively working to reverse the trends we see on the right. We want to ensure that historically disinvested communities are seeing an increase in environmental benefits and a decrease in environmental harms. So I will now highlight some of the district-level sustainability projects, starting with our buildings. Last October, the board unanimously approved and adopted our carbon neutral goals and guidelines, setting a goal to decarbonize all Sac City buildings by 2045. This was a watershed moment for the district, and I will briefly outline some of the projects that were made possible by the adoption of this resolution. So as of today, we have published an RFP seeking consulting services for a district-wide decarbonization roadmap study. This roadmap will be an action plan for the district to achieve our decarbonization goals, including targets, timelines, and projected costs for energy efficiency measures, electrification, and on-site renewable energy. One of these energy efficiency measures is replacing all of our lighting with LED lights, which will significantly reduce energy usage, costs, and ongoing maintenance for lighting. Because of this resolution, we held our first eco-charrettes for one of our new school rebuilds. So this is a reoccurring meeting where the full project team and major stakeholders gather with the aim of developing a vision and design based around our sustainability goals and guidelines. And our construction team is also actively considering electrification for upcoming campus renewal projects, including kitchens. We need data on what electrification actually entails and actually costs. And our maintenance and construction teams are bettering our indoor air quality by installing CO2 monitors and automated controls that pull in fresh air when CO2 levels get too high. We are looking to do the reverse with particulate matter monitors that will close dampers during smoke and wildfire events. We are currently working with SMUD, United Latinos, and Grid Alternatives to write an extreme heat and community resilience grant through the Governor's Office of Planning and Research. This proposal is a planning grant seeking funds to evaluate the risks, impacts, and adaptation strategies to extreme heat at the district level. If awarded, we will plan for and design a renewable microgrid at Hiram Johnson High School to serve as a community energy hub during extreme heat events. We chose this location using the Equity Index and because of its proximity to Central Kitchen and the transportation yard, which will be included in the design as their services will be needed during extreme events. Again, this is just a planning grant, so if awarded, implementation would need to be funded at a later date. We are also working to decarbonize our transportation sector. We are piloting network charging stations at Central Kitchen right now. This lets us charge per kilowatt hour, and we can set different rates for employees versus the general public, and it also allows us to collect and redeem low carbon fuel standard credits. And we're about to welcome 7 new EV buses to our schoolyard fleet and are nearing an electrical capacity at the bus yard. So I'm again working with our construction team to start the initial design phase for scaling up our electric capacity there. And we are also in the planning phase for electrifying our white fleet as these vehicles approach end of life. So stay tuned on that. And finally, we were recently awarded and received a $500,000 planning grant from the California Air Resource Board. We will work with United Latinos and Civic Thread to generate a transportation need assessment for 15 of our schools in South Sacramento. This will give us a deeper understanding of our students' commuting needs and barriers. I continue to work deeply with our Operations and Nutrition Services Department on waste reduction and food recovery efforts. We are lucky to partner with Breeze Sacramento and Cal Recycle to help us educate and support all our students and staff in sorting their food and in share tables. So this is a photo of some of our student leaders helping their classmates sort properly. And as always, student leadership is essential for real success here. And so we're seeing more and more high schools and more elementary schools forming green teams, and these are our super sorters, which I think is just really awesome. And we're well on our way to complying with Senate Bill 1383. So just so y'all know, it's my goal to have all schools fully trained and sorting properly by the end of next school year. So they all have the infrastructure that they need, but it's getting the personnel in there to actually train and get folks sorting. So schoolyards. So this is a typical schoolyard in our district. It's large unshaded blacktop next to large unshaded turf fields. There are a host of reasons this design got popularized, maintenance costs being one of them. But times are changing. Access to nature outside of school is unequal. Children are spending more and more time at school, meaning school grounds are their access to nature, and heat waves are getting more frequent and much more extreme. So we must rethink our schoolyards to make them more climate resilient and better equipped for imaginative play and outdoor learning. We are currently piloting child-accessible forests at 3 of our elementary schools. The design you see up here on the right is at Parkway Elementary and is funded by Green Schoolyards America and CAL FIRE. We also received funding from the city's Environmental Justice Grant to fund 2 additional projects in South Sacramento. So we are designing these schoolyards in deep consultation with our maintenance teams, who will be taking care of it forever after, and our academic departments, and of course, the school community. So at Parkway and in this design, the forested design surrounds the current play structure, and in the middle are nature play elements, along with areas for reflection and instruction. Students can and should be involved in all aspects of a schoolyard forest, including helping with the design, as you can see here with dot voting, and of course caring for the trees. But we want students using, done in 30 seconds, using the schoolyard forest for unstructured play during recess. But we also want teachers using the forest for hands-on instruction across multiple academic disciplines. I'm starting to work with our curriculum and instruction department to build capacity in this area. We want our schoolyards to both protect our students from extreme heat while also nurturing their development and growth. So thank you all so much for your time and thoughtful consideration of these projects. And are there any questions?
Do you have any public comment?
We do not.
All right, board discussion. Member Bridget.
Thank you for the presentation. So we have several of our sites that do not have because you talked a lot about the extreme heat and we don't have shaded structures. And I know this has been a conversation that I've had with our facilities department. Has there been talks about that?
Yeah, so the schoolyard forest is part of that, right? So we're piloting it at 3 schools. So we're gonna build, there's gonna be over 45 trees included in this schoolyard forest, child accessible. And we'll definitely collect data on that. But along with that, we're going to apply for the upcoming CAL FIRE IRA grant, which is will be a management grant. So it'll help us look long-term at what it's gonna take for our district to both add shade trees to all of our schools, but to also care for them, right? Because that's one of our biggest issues right now is we lack irrigation. So there's tons of desire for trees from the schools. And so we're working out how to make sure that we're taking care of them forever after, right? So we're looking at things like irrigation and maintenance issues. So these 3 pilots will kind of help us best understand how to do that across the board.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Member Kayada.
So if a school community is interested in, getting a head start on this and getting some trees going, what could they do now? Could they do a tree planting event without waiting for grants and everything to come through? If they were able to find someone to donate trees, for example?
Yeah, absolutely. We have schools all the time that apply through our special projects request form for trees. And SAC Tree Foundation works with SMUD, and so they provide the trees for free. So it's really about it's really about the school sites who are interested filling out this form, and then we get SAC Tree Foundation out there with our maintenance team and make sure we're placing it in spots that will get irrigation and that won't pull up the blacktop, for example. But yeah, we're doing that all the time. So it's pretty simple to just download that form and get those trees, get that tree plan going for sure.
Okay. Yeah, because it seems like that's kind of a low-hanging fruit. Just get some trees in there in advance of more extreme changes to the campus. I guess speaking of larger changes to the campus, first of all, I'm wondering if you know when we can expect to have the solar parking lot at Kennedy, and also what we can do to get more of our parking lots solar to provide solar energy to our schools. A little mini microgrid there. You raise the power, you're there during the day when it's sunny, and use it at the school.
Yeah, so what was your first question? When are we gonna?
Yeah, Kennedy's solar parking lot.
Oh, the timeline on that?
Yeah.
Yep, so I am working with our construction team around that, and I don't know the specific timeline, but I can definitely get back to you on that.
Okay, it's in the next presentation, so maybe I'll just ask them.
That works.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's it. All right, thanks, y'all.
All right, next up we have Pacific Elementary Design and Construction by the well-dressed Chris Ralston.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Good evening. Thank you. Today we're providing a Pacific Elementary Design and Construction update. I want to introduce Jennifer Quigley, Associate Principal at Lionakis. She is the lead project architect doing Pacific. She attends all of the community meetings, stakeholder meetings. We meet every other week discussing progress along the way. She also is the architect for Cesar Chavez Edward Kimball's project, so she's familiar with our processes. I think it's well known facilities takes a strong presence in the equity aspect. Our entire facilities master plan is based off providing resources to spaces that have been traditionally underserved, and we're continuing that with our Pacific project, one of the vision projects from the facilities master plan process. Pacific Elementary project statistics design is right now and ongoing. We started in June. We will be wrapping up with our submission to Division of State Architect in October. It does take quite a while to hang out over there in the DGS office. Groundbreaking, we're anticipating June of 25 before school gets out, similar to events we've had in the past. Construction beginning September of 2025, and the school opens first day school of 2027. We are building for 650 students, which is about where they're at now. We have a budget of $97 million, $79 million of it for construction. The cost of construction is yet found my happy place yet, so we're spending a good chunk of our Measure H money for this project. In interim housing, we'll be at CB Wire. We're going to model the same process we've had at Nicholas. I just want to throw in that Nicholas CB Wire conversion, the biggest topic of conversation was transportation. We weren't sure, would it work? Would they take it? Would they trust it? They have 450 students, and Mr. Hill, our transportation director, let me know that there are 380 students taking it every day. So I think it's been a success in a part of that transition, keeping that community together and making sure that we can also replicate that for Pacific. That would be the same game plan. But I think you've had enough of me, and I'm going to let Jennifer give all the fun details.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. So I'm going to talk you through some of our design process for Pacific Elementary. First, I want to kind of give you a little background of what we've been doing, gathering a lot of information over the last several months. Like Chris mentioned, we've been meeting with the school site. We've been talking with parents, with students, with teachers, with staff, and neighbors in the community, and we've been hearing a lot of really good things to help us with our design. One of them being is that the community there is very multicultural and diverse, so we're going to keep that in mind as we design around the campus. They really enjoy gardening and being outside. Learning environments outdoors was a big topic for them. And they also have programs there for sustainability and STEAM. But one of the things that really resonated with us was that they really enjoyed gathering around food. They told us about a Lunch with the Scholars event where they have the parents come to the school with other parents and sit with their students and bring food and share and chat around food. So we kind of took that concept, the bring a dish, take a plate, gathering around food and sharing a big community in a diverse place, and thought about what that could mean for an architectural sense. So we thought about a marketplace, a food hall, a farmer's market, places where there's a lot of different stalls, a lot of people coming together under one big roof. So when we look at our site plan for Pacific Elementary School, we have 4 buildings on the site. There's an administration building, a multi-purpose building, 2 two-story classroom buildings. You can see that they're separated to provide connection to the outdoors so that the circulation from the students between buildings would all be outside. All the buildings are centered around that student plaza. So when you think about a gathering place, all the public and core facilities will be centered around that student plaza. That'll be the big hub and the busy place for sharing a lot of information around the school. The buildings are oriented to accommodate daylighting in every single classroom. And then the 2-story classroom buildings also allow us to provide a lot of other additional site amenities around the site. So you can see we have a very long parent drop-off with a parking lot, a separate parent drop-off for the kindergarten play area and a parking lot there. The kindergarten area, just outside their classrooms, has their own playground. We also have a soccer field, play equipment, hard courts and basketball courts, and a large walking track. In the student plaza and the courtyard, that's kind of bleeding out from that, we have a grove of trees, so we're trying to incorporate a lot of shade into the campus and providing different pods within the campus that exemplify our theme of sharing around food and also learning about food. So we have garden spaces, prep spaces, and learning spaces to kind of accommodate and encompass that entire theme. When we look at the first floor plan, you can see the 4 buildings. We have the administration there right up at the main front entry. We have our kindergarten, TK, and pre-K wing. Integrated within the campus, they have access directly to the outdoors, to their kindergarten play area and the outdoor learning area. And then we have our multi-purpose room, also kind of on the front side near the drop-off, so good access for the community when they have events, and an adjacent outdoor covered dining area for them to go outside and eat. Our classroom wings, there's 2 here, and like I mentioned, they're 2 stories. They're all focused and centralized around a collaboration area that's open to the corridor, so you can spill out and use that space, and also across from that, a breakout space for individualized education programs. We have 2 flex labs on campus, and 2 special education dedicated classrooms, as well as professional development rooms, restrooms spread throughout. And one other thing I wanted to mention was that outdoor circulation, but we also want to consider security. So the classroom wings themselves are actually indoor hallways, so circulating between classrooms will be indoors, but then we have a bridge that connects the 2 buildings, so you'll be able to go outside and enjoy that fresh air. So when we talk about the scale of this campus and the neighboring community, we want to make sure that, excuse me, we're taking that all into consideration. There are a lot of single-family, single-story homes there. So when you come up to the campus, we want to make it very welcoming, very friendly, and very pedestrian-friendly and walkable. So you can kind of see that we've oriented the massing of the buildings so that the smaller masses are towards the front of the campus, offering a more welcome student size buildings, and then the larger buildings that are accommodating the 2-story classrooms are towards the back of the campus. And I think this image shows a good representation of how much site availability there is for that outdoor learning, that student plaza there in the center, the fields, the playgrounds, and all of the parking that will be accommodated off the street, which is an issue on most campuses that we rebuild, and putting that into the campus and in a safe environment. So this is our front entry rendering, where you can kind of see that we've taken the ideas of those different market stalls. We're kind of playing around with the masses of the building, incorporating some of those colors that we've seen from those reference images that I showed you, and then incorporating the school color as well. So I'm going to go ahead and play the video, or somebody is, and then open it up for questions.
Do we have public comment?
We do not.
All right, board discussion. Go ahead, Member Kayada.
I watched this before. Really just a beautiful campus. Really excited to see this get built. It's really will be an amazing amenity for the neighborhood and for the kids there. I just had one kind of really small question maybe, but on the site plan, I'm not seeing like a sidewalk connection. So how,
Yes.
I don't want it to be an afterthought that like, hey, if you walk to school or if maybe your parents want to park on the street and walk you in, like you shouldn't be walking up the driveway.
Absolutely. We're in the early phases of design, and as we develop our design more, we will get into the more intricacies and details of like things like where the sidewalks are located. But we've already started to look at kind of the way that students would walk to school, and we will definitely be providing safe crosswalks at specific areas. So we're trying to eliminate the cross traffic between the cars and the students walking to school, and also making sure that as you come up to the drop-off that they're not crossing traffic to get onto the campus as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm raising this even though it's, you know, I'm sure something you're considering, but we have too many of our schools where it almost seems like, you know, street access to the school is like an afterthought. And like you said, it's, you know, conflict points with cars, and you have your mad moms and minivans and whatnot who are just flying up, trying to get their kids out of the car. And meanwhile, you know, even if we had a crossing guard, that's probably going to be at the street. It's not going to be in the parking lot. So I just want to make sure that's elevated.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Member Segura.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, this is so cool. Looking at it, like, you guys did a really, really amazing job about compounding a bunch of educationally stimulating ideas, both indoor and outdoor. And I just think that this is, like, if I had gone here, like, I love my elementary school, but also this is, like, wow.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Member Rhodes.
This is beautiful work. You guys are doing a great job at Kimball Cesar Chavez, and here once again, you guys shown the capability to do great things and to directly give back to our communities. I remember working at this school. I worked here for numerous years, and the field on the other side and all the space that it has, but then the lack of parking in the front and what that causes when pickups are happening, and how it's directly adjacent to a freeway, and like all of these environmental impacts on that neighborhood, and then how we're building out something so grand right there where it's been disinvested in for generations. And so it shows that schools are clearly hubs of our community, heartbeats of the general community. And when we have a board and a district that thinks about the end user in this way, we can really make changes in the lives of our students and community members broadly to impact their quality of life. And so I really appreciate this work you're doing, and that's all I want to say. Beautiful job.
Thank you.
Member Jean.
Absolutely gorgeous. What process do you go through to encourage like educator input about classrooms and play spaces and rainy days and just the things that pop up on elementary campuses?
Sure. So staff is just one of our main three stakeholders. So we break them up so we give you our full attention as a stakeholder. So we go to Thursday staff meetings, we discuss what are your hopes and dreams, we take them in, we come back and discuss how do we implement Pacific staff also went on tours of neighboring school districts, new schools. So Dyer Kelly in San Juan and Paseo Verde in Natomas, both recent builds, Lionakis builds, of course, that show, hey, this was great at the time, but we've learned some lessons. And those school district facilities people and teachers even from those sites tell us, could have done this different. So we listen to those, we let them engage. Again, I think I just want to make sure that I'm a facilitator of the conversation, not always the decision maker. I'll make all the tough ones when we have to, but where we're at in different parts, I'm going to give like Nicholas at Oak Ridge. We're at that point with the staff where it's time to really get into the interior of the classroom, and that stakeholder space, while we'll talk to all three, the district departments, parents, community, and staff, is they'll take a lead on that. This is a workspace also, not just a student interaction space. So we talk about the furniture and the SEL programs and the different spaces. We meet with special education, what's going on with their wants and needs, and we try our best to encapsulate not only what are they doing now, we encourage them to think, what are you doing in 10 years from now? Where are you going in 15 years from now? So it's not a constant flip and change and going right back to a site to spend more bond money in. And then we always have 2 flex rooms in our projects. They're intended for after-school spaces, so we can kind of pull them out of the general ed classrooms. Teachers needing to share their space with after-school isn't a popular concept right now. So we have these 2 flex spaces to build off of. One of them is by the MP where after-school also hangs out. But inside of it, they're built with sinks for them to expand into art or music. It could be a general ed program. It also incorporates like the food literacy center's requirements. If we come in, they can teach those. They have a little demo cooking station built into them, but they're expandable. They also have, PE. PE doesn't really have a classroom. It's not easy to always get them a classroom, even on a new design, as we're kind of constrained by some budgets, but the flex is great. PE during the day with their own storage off to the side, after school at night, storage on the other side. And that's kind of how we're engaging the different spaces to try to capture as much as we can.
I appreciate so much of just what you said. Just because as an educator, having watched schools get built, and it sounds wonderful, and then you're like, wait, who didn't pick up that we've got a weight room where it's curved, so the teacher's here and they're lifting weights here and they don't have eyesight, right? Like, it's just random things they don't even pick up on along the way. So I just really appreciate you mentioning, like, hey, you guys built this, what do you wish you had thought of? And like you said, thinking 10 years into the future, we're already so tech dependent and heavy, but we need more and more plugs. We need more and more spaces and access to technology with SEL and collaborative learning spaces, and wanting to be more flexible seating options instead of the traditional classroom of desks, but also knowing that sometimes tradition needs to happen. So I really appreciate just so much of everything you said about the process of including folks. And I also very much recognize it's really fun to hope and dream, and then we've got to look at the hard dollars and cents and the expensive resources and the actual building and the feasibility of things. So thank you for all that.
You're welcome. And we're not afraid of the hard conversation where if we have to make a change or we heard you but we couldn't, we will come out and be the face of the why and give them the why. It's not just we hope to hide and nobody notices. It's important. I was at Cal Middle today for my 3rd meeting with the staff just talking about furniture, because now we're getting ready to do our summer project, which is we got to pack up and we got to get ready, and there's always so many questions. It's easy to just go out there and talk to these people and make sure everybody's ready, on the same page. We're doing it together, not us doing it to them. That's always a conversation we have when we start the process. So that engagement's really become pretty valuable for our department.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
All right. I just want to thank you for putting a basketball court in the multipurpose room, because I saw that as very important to me.
I know.
To see basketball courts being built at our elementary schools. But also because Member Rhodes mentioned this, we were both at Hiram Johnson today seeing our bond measures, money at work. So I think it's really beautiful to see that we're not just building basic structures, we're building something beautiful and something that the community can be proud of. And as Member Rhodes mentioned, schools are the epicenter, or can be the epicenter of community, and they can be something beautiful, and they don't have to become an eyesore, especially if we're getting to update them with community support and community input. So just want to thank you guys for your work.
You're welcome.
All right. Moving on to 9.8, we'll keep you up here for potential project list for future bond. Oh, bond ballot language.
Yep,
Oh, look at-
sorry, you are continuing to be stuck with me. Good evening again, Vice President Singh, members of the board, Superintendent Allen. Congratulations. As we go through this, I just want to remind the board this is a discussion item. It is not an action item tonight. Staff is interested in getting your feedback on what you're getting ready to see of a proposed list, and if necessary, making adjustments before a ballot measure language is crafted and completed, which will be brought to you at a future date. Again, equity is everything that we do. You'll see that a proposed project list encapsulates this as a continuing lens that we will use in facilities. I want to start with just a reminder of our facilities master plan. Approved in 2021, or FMP as I may say in the future. First, it's an award-winning facilities master plan, by the way. I don't want you to forget that. Because of its first-of-a-kind equity lens. The lens helps focus funding in neighborhoods that have traditionally been underserved, underfunded, and supported by capital dollars using the Berkeley Neighborhood Index map. We also use the facility condition assessment that was completed for the FMP that ranks the conditions of our 70-year-old schools in most cases. Using these two lenses, we create 3 different types of projects: major modernization, new construction, campus renewal, which is a minor modernization, a facelift, a carpet paint kind of concept, and then deferred maintenance, which is what most people may not see: the sewer systems, HVAC units, roofs, etc. Measure H will accomplish, and I believe through its funding, 8 of the 11 projects listed on the FMP vision list, plus several other equity-based facility condition needs or state matching fund projects as part of the $750 million spend. The final spend, because of the business application we're also applying to our project planning, could expand that spending beyond $800 million, and it is a great benefit for our district, and it does benefit our taxpayers. Just a reminder, here's a list of the last 3 bonds approved by our supportive community and the projects and tasks assigned to them. Measure R is exhausted. Measure Q will finish its last projects this summer with the McClatchy HVAC system replacement, pool work for Hiram Johnson and John F. Kennedy, and the Einstein Middle School core academic project. Measure H is already showing progress and change in our schools with 3 new schools in construction, athletic field improvements at high schools in progress, 3 campus renewals, Fern Bacon Middle School modernization is in design, and as you just heard, a new Pacific Elementary School. All the work for H has been done in less than 24 months since the monies were received and has a program value currently of $475 million. And at this rate, without a new bond, Measure H construction would last about 6 more years and all the projects would end. These slides that you're getting ready to see, 5, 6, 7, and 8, is a review of our department's resume as we build confidence for the community and the board to continue with future bond ballot measure requests. Measure Q, Hiram Stadium, recent ribbon cutting. You see shade structures were part of ESSER and bond funding, security upgrades going through it. The signature project of Measure R, our central kitchen, and then the Measure H projects. We're currently familiar with the ones in construction: Pacific, Fern Bacon, Ethel Phillips, Hollywood Park, getting ready to start the design process. Security enhancements is an ongoing conversation and project in our department. JFK Solar is getting ready to go through the design bid process in the next 3 months. So while it may take about 18 months to get to something, we are beginning the actual procurement process. Bowling Green Charter School, maybe a topic that was earlier today, is in a design process for a campus renewal. Playground upgrades, which includes the shade shelters that you asked about, Member Pritchett, continuing these progress of things that are most requested, shade shelters from school sites. But it wasn't a part of the original plan, but as we learn things and we have ability to pivot, we want to make sure that we're listening and we're encapsulating. So all new projects have some of these things, but also how do we keep going? Anticipated projects for the rest of Measure H. As I said, we're already more than halfway in construction or design with Measure H, so there's not a lot left for future plans, but Ethel I. Baker is on that list. 2 additional solar projects and HVAC systems we have an amazing maintenance crew, and they make 25-year-old systems last 40 years, but even they have an ability to run out of ability to keep them going. So we are needing to start thinking about those things. So here in front of you is the staff recommendation for a potential bond project. We recommend a set of specific projects for voters to decide on, and additional language that allows some flexibility for emergencies and program changes. As you can see, we continue to use the same thinking for selecting projects, our equity lens, with several projects continuing the work of investment in areas of need with Earl Warren, Elder Creek, Rosa Parks, and Wilsey Wood. We have deferred maintenance projects that will have significant matching funds with Hiram Johnson and Rosemont. Additionally, it is my belief and recommendation that we maintain our buildings better with system replacements and upgrades before they start falling apart, something that will save hundreds of millions of dollars over time. Rosemont, as my example, is coming up on 25 years. It's a great building, great bones, great structure, but it needs some attention. Flooring, HVAC, roof. Let's replace those before it fails. Get another 25 years out of it, relatively maintenance and cost-free. A $40 million investment with about $20 million in state matching funds predicted is a much better approach than no attention at all, the building getting beyond repair at the 50-year mark, and a new high school costing around $350 million today. Again, I hope as we ask for new funding with our voters, they see we have a practical approach to doing facilities appropriately and responsibly. Other projects on the list, Miwok Middle. It is at end of life. The Division of State Architect has let us know, due to the construction type, no further modernization or other work will be approved without going through the seismic upgrades required, which we believe will cost more than the replacement of a building. We also will continue to provide upgrades to spaces on our campuses that benefit the schools and community, including after-hour use. We have been building or significantly working on improving our pools since I started. McClatchy's work will continue that progress. They cannot host CIF events in their pool right now, plus the deterioration over time that went unrepaired is catching up to us beyond what maintenance can do. Finally, our performing arts centers, something that could significantly impact our students and community. Improved AV equipment, seating, ADA upgrades. This work really makes the major regional hubs for the arts. There is also other work, items not always able to be listed out specifically as they impact every project, but continue our work on deferred maintenance and sustainability. Finally, you can see we are continuing to find projects that have a return from state matching funds so that we can use those dollars on projects that may not be yet eligible, expanding how far our bond program can reach. I'm gonna leave the list up, but if there are any questions, be ready to take them.
Public comment?
No public comment.
All right, board discussion. Member Pritchett.
Thank you. Thank you for that presentation. And I appreciate you bringing up the shade structures because it's probably the number one thing that I hear in my community is the shade structures. And I know I've been speaking with one of your colleagues about it as well. And so based on the list that you have in front of us right now, is there a way that you guys choose which projects that you're going to do out of them? Like, I'm sure that there's a million more that we need to do within our district, right? Like, how are these ones chosen?
So we start with the equity lens, see that we continue on that path with the FMP, but inside the next lens would be the condition of the facility. So some just are in a state of unrepair or getting close to. But we also consider, is there money that can come back? Rosemont, Hiram Johnson have state eligibility, and we between $16 and $20 million. If we did both projects, that's almost $40 million coming back that then we can reinvest into it. So there are projects that are picked because they're ready by eligibility for the state, and that just brings in, if we didn't do those projects and we just did with only bond funding, we run out of bond funding and we left money on the table because we can't now go after matching funds if we have no money to match. So there is some of that prioritizing that makes that happen, but facility age, facility condition, equity index, every lens is used. I wouldn't say one other than the equity probably weighs more than the other, but that's generally how we're looking at it.
Which is based off of the master facilities plan?
Yes, we're still using the facilities master plan.
You're still using the same
Yes,
one?
from 2021.
Have we considered doing a new one?
We generally are, good practice is refreshing every 5 years and then a completely new FMP every 10 years. And we are getting ready to start a conversation probably in the next 18 months on that refresh.
Okay, and one of the reasons why I asked about are you guys using the master facilities plan is because I know, this is great. I love hearing about, the work that we're doing at, Pacific and our other sites. And then I think about, James Marshall, where they have just portables, right? And I wonder where it lies within that master plan, right?
Sure.
And so it would be interesting to see, but now the master plan's so old, now some of our other sites are just aging even more.
Sure. I believe some of that is, some of the data could age faster than our ability to address
Yeah.
them. One, we are doing 3 new schools plus 4 modernizations this summer, plus a few small projects, and I am exhausting our staff. And we have jobs posted, we just don't have people applying for them. I have to be mindful that some of this also will slow us down, which makes that data even encroach a little bit at a different pace. I think what we're doing is our best effort to address those most pressing needs or predicted pressing needs. And I think an example also is Rosemont. Is Rosemont facility condition worse off than others? No, it is not. But the $16 or $20 million that come back may fund an entire elementary modernization. And I need to take that approach.
That makes sense to me. I appreciate that. And I just trying to think it out in my head of why these ones and not something else. So
Sure.
that makes sense to me.
That's a lot of my day in conversations with principals. When is it my turn? And I don't necessarily always have the greatest answer. My best answer is I work in a 36-month window trying to predict where we're going and how do we cash flow that and make sure it's going. And the effort would be building a resume that voters never have to think about approving when we ask them to keep this progress going through future bond processes that then makes it get to those sites faster than if we didn't have that great maybe resume to build off of.
Right, and I think that most don't understand how much it actually costs to build onto these sites. I think that for me, even working with the shade structure issue of trying to get it at AM-WIN, of trying to find out how much it's going to cost, I was quite shocked on the price tag of what it would cost for a shade structure at an elementary school, of just trying to work with the city of Rancho Cordova to help them, have them pay for it.
I think Jennifer in our last presentation, other people, my meetings is maybe asking the same question, is I don't quite understand because I can't quite find the data. I use surrounding school districts to kind of gauge that data. We have some guesses and we understand that, we have some different unique aspects to our construction program at Sac City that other school districts don't have that do play into the cost aspect of it. But we're also finding that at $750,000 for a hardtop shade structure that we know will last a long time, what other alternatives can we provide? And if that's a fabric shade structure, which is going to be cheaper, we still have to go through the whole architect space, but maybe that's a little cheaper, but then I worry about the longevity of a fabric. The vandalism that happens to a fabric is often and costly, and that it ends up not being as cheap as we hoped for.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Member Kayada.
So just one immediate question that jumps out at me is, if we're going to be rebuilding Miwok, what are we just talked about the mural that just got unveiled. Are there plans for that?
We let people know that we have a slate of projects and an active bond program, and that anything's possible at our schools that could make them better. That's why artists sign waivers, and we don't not tell them that anything is possible. If we can, I think we did at SUU and at other, as we kind of get into the mural routine, is putting some level of maybe a board up that can be transferred later in life. But the Miwok situation is a little bit different. It's not so much because we're ready and want to, but more the state has let us know that it's probably going to be necessary. It's a different the EB4 lift slab replacement requirement is not because it's unique. There are not a lot of schools in the state of California that fall under that. Miwok happens to be one of them.
Okay, and I think that's...
I also,
yeah.
I would just say, being on the list today, one, we're still have to go through the election process, obviously, and if it's a yes, it's still quite a bit of ways away.
Okay. In terms of the project list, I know it's discussion. I think the story we tell to the voters, in my opinion, is all the kind of work we've been doing. And that's represented here and it's represented in other presentations you've given to the board. But the big projects, the vision projects, that's where most of the money is going to go. But the fact that we're also putting money in schools all around the city, I think that also speaks to people.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to make sure whatever we do with the bond, that it speaks to both of those components.
Absolutely. I applaud our communications department has started a very neutral, but this is what you've built concept. And I know that you have seen that with bus ads and billboards around town, and that is starting the conversation, reminding them that they are the reason for our success in the community. But then, as I kind of said, we have to build the resume that they will trust, that we can handle big projects, big expensive projects, complex projects, so that when we're asked to do anything, there's confidence there. And that's what we're really trying to build, is that confidence space. We definitely can always provide, just this summer, we were at a point where we had 99 projects simultaneously going, and I'm going to tell you, 90 of them were the smaller $1 million, $2 million jobs. And that's generally how construction for school works. It's unique to be building any new schools, let alone 3 at a time.
Yeah, and kind of in response to Member Pritchett's comments about our shade structures, I've kind of become aware of shade structures now that we've started putting them on to some of our schools. And I've driven around to other school districts around the state. I've kind of just, now I kind of peek in, look at their blacktop as I'm driving by. And we are building solid shade structures.
Yes, we are.
And I think that that's a message also we can send to the community is, you're giving us an investment with real money, and we're not just doing some fly-by-night little propped-up situation to keep the kids out of the sun. This is a real permanent investment. And I think that shows our pride in our kids and our community, and also speaks to not having to replace it every couple of years. So I think we should be proud and confident to make the decisions, even if it's more expensive upfront, to really permanently invest in our school communities. So
yeah, and I appreciate that, because when we're sitting and talking about, Member Jean's comment of even the interaction with the staff is wants versus needs are two different things, but we do need to think about the big picture, and it may cost us a little bit up front. And we're blessed with a supportive community that's allowing that conversation to happen. We know that will carry on for decades possibly, and that investment now, it's only going to get more expensive and harder to do later in life. Chamberlain coming up here, her presence in our office has been a huge worldview change in what you're going to see even in our campus renewals this summer, how our playgrounds are being designed, and the shade and the trees and the interaction, and it's different. It's not just a hard court with a basketball hoop and a playground. It's very different thinking, and I think you'll see that this summer. So when we come back in the fall, and we're really ideally hoping to gear up for some really great November news, that would be something that they're thinking about. We're also now not just copy and pasting. We're really trying to be innovative in what we're doing, and it is an investment.
Yeah, and all that is here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Very much.
All right. I will just add that earlier we presented the race covenants, and I think speaking about myself, living in a neighborhood where I probably would not have been able to buy a house at some point, and a community, an area that does have a lot of opportunity, although I see Miwok is a new build. I just want to state that I think it's important to make sure we continue to invest in the entire district. So I don't want to see this investment as a area investment. I like to see it as all areas from 1 through 7. And if that means we got to wait a little bit, we'll wait a little bit in order to maintain that equity lens and make sure that we're serving the students who have historically been marginalized and disinvested in. So I appreciate the effort. I know it's not easy to go through this process. That equity lens is greatly appreciated. And I think anytime you have that conversation with folks, the second you are able to center that and talk about that, people do do get reminded. That doesn't take away from the fact that we have bathrooms and buildings that are like 100 years old at this point. And I'm hoping that eventually we will get around to all of them. But I do want to thank you for your thoughtful investment in our schools and our sites.
I appreciate it. And just a little bit how the sausage might be made is we have maps. We do the maps for the district. We worry about the equity index. And I'll tell you, when I got here to Sac City, being trained in more of that traditional school facility planning concept of trustee areas and how much money is going where, that isn't a conversation that we even allow us to have. We've almost deleted and erased the line. We don't always remember what space you may represent. We really are just following the data, and we're making sure that every decision we make is data. We've had this conversation for about the last 2 months, is what this list will kind of evolve into. MeWalk was a hard conversation to have because of the things that we're trying to do differently in Sac City, but we also can't dismiss that we have a building that needs attention, and it could become, I can't do a roof, and it's a major roof situation right now. So I think we have to also recognize that we're doing what we promised we would do with the facilities master plan, but that does include, we cannot dismiss that every building needs some level of attention. And whether we can do that where, how fast, and when is always something we're challenged to try to figure out.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, moving on to 10.0 public hearing, 10.1 public hearing for resolution number 3397 to convey utility easement entitlements to the Sacramento, I'm just going to say SMUD, for PS7 school project.
Good evening, Superintendent Allen and board members. My name is Ben Wangberg. I am the Facilities Planning Manager, here tonight for public hearing item number 10.1. In accordance with Education Code Article 15, we are required to allow the public the opportunity to comment anytime the district intends to grant an easement or dedicate real property to another public entity. In this case, we are talking about a utility easement for the Sacramento Municipal Utilities District, SMUD, located at 5201 Strawberry Lane. This easement is in order to provide SMUD the ability to install and maintain electrical power to the modernized PS7 elementary once complete. At this time, we would like to hold that public comment hearing and receive any public comments. This is not a board action item. This resolution will be voted on tonight during the consent agenda. I would recommend that Acting President Singh open the public hearing.
I love asking this question. Do we have any public comment?
We do not.
All right. Do we have any board discussion?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, just so the board knows, this is on the consent agenda, so you will be able to approve it there. All right, moving on to communications, student member report.
Yeah, I'm just going to bring it back to one of the public comments that was made earlier about the bathrooms at JFK. That sort of thing with the locking of the bathrooms and the bathroom hygiene issues has been brought to my attention and the SAC's attention pretty heavily this year and a bit last year too. This has been something that is a huge concern of both the students and the parents at these larger school sites, so not just JFK, but ones with like the larger populations of school sites. We're, on our end, we're working through some directives to try to combat that, but I would just encourage you to check out your school sites a little bit further, check out specifically the bathrooms, and just notice the problem and take it into account, just because I think that those things tend to get overlooked when you look at the big picture, because a lot of these school sites are running really, really solidly, but that bathroom issue, it's been like a problem for a good amount of time. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Let's do information sharing by board members. Hit the button. No one wants to share anything? I'm surprised. If you don't, I'm going to share a lot. All right, I have a speech. All right, if no one else is going, I will go. So I want to start by recognizing that next week the Jewish community will be marking start of Passover. I just want to recognize that this is a story about the Jewish community's rights and that they're bound to the rights of their neighbors. It's a story of faith, a reminder that even in the face of oppression, there's a reason for hope. I have read this story and I understand it to be a celebration for the Jewish community, but I think the message is universal. So I want to express my congratulations and thanks to the entire Jewish community, especially our students, staff, and community members here. I also know that Southeast Asian New Year just passed, so to our Burmese, Cambodian, Laos, Thai, Sri Lankan, and many other communities, Happy New Year. And that date is actually shared with one of the largest calendar events in the Sikh community, which is Vaisakhi, which just passed this past weekend. I thought I'd share a little bit that Vaisakhi is traditionally a harvest festival in Punjab, but in 1699, it took on a much larger role and a lot more importance when the 10th Sikh Guru created the Khalsa order, or initiated Sikhs, which is what many of you see today with turbans and everything else. Very importantly, initiated Sikhs carry the 5 Ks, which is Ges, uncut hair, Ganga, a wooden comb, Kada, which is a steel bracelet that many of you see me wear, Kashada, which is undergarments, and then a kirpan, which is a small ceremonial sword. Folks who are initiated carry this distinct identity and are deeply committed to community service to the downtrodden, upholding a deep-seated dedication to fight oppressive powers and stand for any and all communities, regardless of race, religion, sexual orientation, caste, or otherwise. So as a Sikh, congratulations to our students, but also it empowers me to remind myself to continue to speak up, and I continue to express my deep concern for the ongoing lopsided war and bombardment of innocent lives in Palestine for my own Sikh community that's facing oppression by the Indian state, and then just my continued solidarity for all communities worldwide who are working towards self-determination. So thank you. All right, moving on to consent agenda. Do we have a motion for? All right. Okay. Start with the student preferential vote.
Aye.
Member Kayada.
Aye.
Member Jean.
Aye.
Member Pritchett. Member Rhodes.
Aye.
Member Singh.
Aye.
Passes.
All right, perfect. What is this? Speaking out loud, sorry. I just saw 13.0, so I'm like, what? Okay. Do I have to do anything about 13.0, Ann? Okay. All right, future board meeting dates. May 2nd, 2024, 5 o'clock, closed session, 6:30 open session, right here. May 16th, 5 o'clock, and then closed session, and then 6:30 open session, right here. Item 15.0. All right. Thank you. Oh, I already signed these.
You did?
Yeah.